news here. Tony Khan last week sent out a tweet about an hour before Dynamite announcing the hiring of Will Washington. Some of you guys may know Will Washington from doing podcasts on Grapsity. He's been a longtime podcaster back with RBR as well. I would call Will a good friend of mine. Tony Khan sent a tweet out. He said he's the new AEW Wrestling Administration Coordinator. He's working in many areas of wrestling, live events, social media, creative, PR. He has a great wrestling mind, and he's here, at Dynamite, and he's been working since the Baltimore show. I believe was his first day, and this is quite a feat for Will. Very happy for him. Something like this. I think, whenever you're a wrestling fan, you always feel like, man, I wish I could work in wrestling, or I wish, the company would reach out to me or listen to my ideas or something like that. And now Will's going to be working in creative directly with Tony Khan. Like, this is not a standard, from what I've gathered. It's not a standard, this person's on a writing team. Like, how they have 50 writers in WWE or something like that. This is a little different. I ended up, I talked with Will briefly, a couple days before it was announced, and he let me know what was going on with it. And it was, I just started thinking, I was like, wow, like he's really like going to be in there. He's leaving Grapsity, and, those guys built like a nice thing over on Fightful. And I was just thinking about how big this is from the standpoint of shit like this doesn't happen. This is new ideas, new voices, and this is a threat, I think, to some people who've, this whole thing with wrestling since WCW closed has been nothing but like rehires of guys that have failed in different places, just the same old people and everything like that. Will is a sharp left turn from that, and I think he actually represents everything that you would anticipate you want AEW to be. You would not want AEW to hire Dutch Mantel to come in. You would not want AEW to hire Vince Russo or something like that. No. You want fresh new voices. And on top of that, this is a brother. Like, this is like, when we're talking about like highest ranking people in pro wrestling, like, is he like one of the highest ranking like black men ever in pro wrestling at this point?
American pro wrestling, yeah, he have to be like day one stepping in. So when you said that like, this doesn't really happen to people, I started thinking of the when Harry Styles won Grammy of Album of the Year instead of Beyonce. And like then he got roasted for saying like this doesn't happen to people like him, and then his fans had to come up with something. They're like, well, he means like working class people, and I was like, nah, there have been working class people that have won in Grammys for Album of the Year. Him saying that is like, people are like, how many white men have won this thing? Yeah. But like getting back to the real thing is like people like him. Yeah, you're damn right. That would have definitely applied to Will Washington.
Yeah, like Will was not, Ernie Ladd. Like Ernie Ladd, like we're here in the Comic King of the North saying, is Will Washington the highest ranking black man in a wrestling company since Ernie Ladd? Look, let's say
there's a great chance that's true.
Let's say the answer to that is yes, right? Ernie Ladd, NFL fucking all pro player or whatever, that has to be 6'9" and a wrestler and get tapped on the shoulder essentially by Bill Watts, right?
Right. And hold on. And also a Bill Watts that is in a region of the country that made him knew that he had to push black talent.
Right.
To work on, to be able to grab a certain demographic of the population, a sizable demographic of that population in his region. So it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing at all. Like Ernie Ladd could be Ernie Ladd in AWA, and he probably ain't getting that job.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a big fucking deal, and it's been a long fucking time between Ernie Ladd and Will Washington.
Yeah. What did you make of this news, James?
So I don't really know Will too well. Obviously, you do. We met him in Orlando for Revolution 2021, 22. Smart dude. A very patient dude, a person that's willing to listen to me slightly disagree with him, and then go down a spiel of why I disagree with him, and then like was listening, and which is like, he could just be like, hey, who's this asshole? So yeah, like he's a thumbs up guy for me. Because like I wasn't disagreeing to be confrontation, I was disagreeing like, hey, I just disagree, and here's why. And like when you just meet people and you disagree with you off rip, you immediately just be like, okay, I don't okay, and just like want to check out the conversation. But he's a pleasant dude to be around for the time I was around with him, and it was cool to just kick it with a dude that liked wrestling as much as we do. So I haven't really had conversations like to the extent that you have had with him, but yeah, like he gives me all the in my few interactions with him, he's giving me all the check marks of this is okay guy. So yeah, interested to see what he does. Like obviously he has some of his content as far as like his I don't know what exactly was his content that got him this particular spot, but like I've heard he's done a bunch of fantasy booking stuff before, and I guess that intrigued Tony Khan. So like Tony Khan definitely needed help. And back in the day, there was talks of there were bookers and they had basically an assistant booker to kind of keep straight whatever they may have forgotten. And Tony Khan, for as well as he has done in the macro, definitely does need someone to help him in the Jamal Murray went down, he's holding his ankle. I think he might be hurt, but he definitely needs someone to help him with like the week to week, month to month stuff of storylines, because it feels like there's a lot of start and stop stuff, and stuff gets dropped and you forget, and it never got finished off, and it was actually stuff that was things people cared about. So
Will's real sharp with dates and memorizing like angles, like I think there's kind of a kinship there, and then Will's been kind of a standout in all those in a lot of these like media press things, asking like tough but like fair questions, and I can only say that Will's always been very cool to me, so very excited.
So somebody was asking non-softball questions at one of these pressers. I thought you weren't allowed to do that. I thought you just had to kiss their ass to be so happy that you were allowed there. Like you had to treat them with kid gloves if you're like Trump at a White House meeting, at a White House press conference.
It's amazing how it works, right? But yeah, man, like just from seeing what he did with Grapsody, and Grapsody's going to continue with Reg and Phil, and he ended up leaving Fightful and all that, and to essentially like go to whether he's like really plugged in with Tony Khan, like the other various jobs I'm sure he's going to be doing. I think he's going to do an excellent job, and much love, very happy for you, Will, if you see this. So and King of the North brings a great point up. All the right people hated this hiring. All the people that saw people talking shit, that was hating, that was taking shots at Will. I just gotta let y'all know, y'all lost again. Y'all lost. Figure it out. Like you lost. Like that's get fucked. Like it's shout out to my man Will. So